wanted to welcome everybody. I'm gonna do kind of a welcome, and then I'm gonna let Teresa and Dawn take over. I want to thank Teresa from the library for coming out and giving us a tour of the foundation directory, and for Blanca and Tom from 211 talking about the resources that they have. And Tom, it seems like everywhere I go, you are the man. And Blanca, I just appreciate all that you guys do at 211. And the libraries are now opening more and more, which is a great resource. So it's very exciting. One of the things I'd like to just kind of plant in your mind is that everything you do is connected. So if you are sending out emails, are you tracking the data of who's opening and who's sharing and all of that? If you have a website, are you looking at how many visits you're getting and if they're clicking to other pages? Because then you're able to kind of see passively, because you're looking at from behind, what's resonating with people, what's logically, and if it's not going where you want it to go, how are you thinking about it? If you are having an event and you are collecting their information and getting their permission to put them on your mail list, you're building your mail list, which is going to get more people to turn out. So I just wanted you to think about how all of the things that you do are connected and how to build that up. So I really appreciate my nonprofits. I do want to point out that here in East Contra Costa, we are having a significant issue with COVID. We're seeing a very high rate of spread amongst the folks that are unvaccinated, and it's having an effect on hospitals, not to the level that it had before, but it's really important that we help people get vaccinated. We have a van that will, we can schedule. If 5 people will get vaccinated, we'll come to you. So if you can incorporate that into something that you are doing so that we can get more people vaccinated and we can start to decrease the pressure on our systems. We want to go back to school. We want to go back to work. We want to get back in person, but we really need to get people vaccinated. So if you want to participate, reach out to Dawn or Teresa and we'll connect you with that data. I just was on a call this morning. It's Oakley, Pittsburgh, and Antioch that are the big numbers right now. So whatever you can do to help me work on getting these communities together. I see Councilman Fuller is here. So if you want to work with me, I would love to work with you on that. Thank you for all you do. And I'm going to turn it over to Dawn and Teresa. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
We are going to move on to the presentations, and we've talked about it several times since we all got on board here today. First, we're going to have Teresa Rains, who is one of the Contra Costa County librarians, and excited to be back in her office and with the libraries opened and at the Brentwood Library. And she's going to talk about the foundation directory online and the tools that the library has for nonprofits. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to turn it over to Teresa Rains. And welcome, Teresa.
Okay, great. So my name is Teresa. I work at the Brentwood Library. I've been trained on foundation directory, and I think it's a really valuable tool that'll help you out and make your fundraising and finding funder makers a much easier task. So a little bit about the history. Candid is the umbrella organization that in 2019 became the Foundation Center and GuideStar joined together and created Candid. As you know, GuideStar is the application where you enter your information as a person seeking funds or fundraising, and the Foundation Center is the application that helps you find those funders. And so every year, millions of nonprofits spend trillions of dollars around the world, and Candid finds out where that money comes from and where it goes and why it matters. So through how does this happen? Of course, through research and collaborations and training. Candid connects people who want to change the world to the resources they need to do it. So it's a connection device. It's very powerful. So you can strengthen your nonprofit by participating in grant space. That's a really great place to start. And also by creating a LinkedIn profile. And we'll get more as we go along about LinkedIn. And this is to learn more about capacity building and training programs, also through grantspace.org. That's a really great resource for you. That's also included in the resources I'm providing as a handout today. So the 3 questions that you want to ask yourself before you begin searching in Foundation Directory is, who are you serving? Where are they? Where's their location geographically? And what are you doing for them? And so you sit down and do this before you even tackle getting into this database, because it's a big, powerful database, and you need to have some idea of what you're searching for. On your screen, you see the basic screen that comes up when you click in at the library. This is the library version. There also is the essential version, and I provided information for that too. You can access that at home. I'll explain more about that. This is the library version. It's the professional version. And you would see it's very, the search examples are very broad. In this case, I'm creating a search for us to experiment with that is less broad, so you won't have as many funders to look at. But if you want tons of funders, you make it extremely broad for your area. So I have chosen to do this one, children's after school programs in the San Francisco Bay Area. If I wanted to search specifically Contra Costa County, you can do that too. It didn't provide very many funders for that area, so it's actually better to go more broad, because even some of those funders more broadly elsewhere in the United States also provide funds to funders here in the Bay Area. Let's search for that. So this is what you get when you come onto the page. At the very top under find funding, you'll see it's chosen things, additional search parameters like family services, which it was not one of our search parameters, which is could be a powerful one for you. If you did not want to use this parameter, you can exit out and it will be eliminated. Elementary and secondary education, program support, San Francisco, United States, Bay Area, California. So it's searching those. You'll see on this first page, we have over 2,700 grant makers. Now this is very narrow, because in some searches you'll do it and it'll have 10,000 grant makers. They aren't all necessarily good for you necessarily, and they're not a good matchup, but we'll go with this one because it's more focused. And there are 31,857 grants that are available. There have been over 4,000 recipients. And if you want to look at those 990 forms, there's a bracketing right there that you can see. As we scroll down a little bit more under grant makers, you'll see the top 5 grant makers in this area for us. And of course, Silicon Valley Community Foundation is one of the largest ones. Its total assets are pretty hefty. Its giving is over $1 million. Its awards they're humongous, as you can see. They're located in Mountain View, California. And then Bank of America is a big one here for us. The San Francisco Foundation. And you can see what those assets are for everybody, what their total giving is every year. Those are important things to know before you tackle anything else. So with the first 5, we're going to stick to the first 5, but you can go to more pages and see the next 5 also. And that's Silicon Valley. All the Silicon Valley community, and it's so what the recipient, who the recipients are. Not ready. So under grants, we can see more about who the recipients are of the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. Teach for America was given over $2 million. Silicon Valley Amigos de Guadalupe Center in San Jose, Oakland. Bill and Melinda Gates, Breakthrough Collaborations. You can get more information. We'll keep going down this page to get a better idea. These are actual recipients of this money, and you see there are a lot of educational entities. And for high school, it shows what they received, how many grants they have received. These are actually really high, which is awesome. And of course, GLIDE is very big. And these mean that the recipients have ratings in their grants, the grant space we were talking about earlier. You'll find more information about them there. Here's the part where you would see about the 990 forms, and if you want to look at those specifically from the grant makers. Let's go back up briefly here. So after you've figured out what you want to look for, you do that little search there. That's your initial search. We can actually go in and do an advanced search also. Now I know this is really fast, and it is actually a pretty easy database once you have an idea, but it took me personally a very long time to figure out how to get the best results from this database. Don't feel overwhelmed, because it is overwhelming at times. You can always come to the library, get help here, and there's also Foundation Directory also offers help directly on their website, and trainings. That's most important. So let's go to
Teresa, this video will be available later so people can review it. So thank you for that.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to advanced searching. So when we go into advanced searching, this is going to give you a bigger breakdown of what is available. And you'll see that it breaks down subject area. Again, you can just say, I don't want anything with family services, or I don't want anything with that. You can add in something else. And right here, it says match any. You can also choose to match all, but as a keyword search, it's actually more beneficial to stick with match any instead of doing keyword searches. This database likes natural language. So that means the way you would say it is the way you would write it in. So like I wrote, children's after school programs, but there are also other ways to look at it, like program support. And these are the geographic areas. If I wanted to say, I don't want to search San Francisco necessarily, you can click it off and it'll just search the Bay Area. And the population served is children and youth. That's important to know. You can actually search also in this advanced screen under organization name. So if you knew that you were going to go to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and search there, you can actually put them in that search engine and it would come up with their information and all the information that they have on this database. Typically in some of these, you would see the first off under because we did such a narrow search. In some other searches that are more broad, you'll see that Health and Human Services is a big funder of grants. So if you wanted to see those, you would keep this clicked on. If you don't want to see any federal funders, you would click it off. We didn't get a lot of that in our search because it was so narrow. And you could just take it and look for the location alone. And if you think you know somebody who's in that organization, you can search for them this way. This will put you on information on their page about who's linked in, and some of you might know that you can actually build a relationship and collaborate with. Additional filters. This is interesting because you can break it down by years. So if you only wanted to search, you don't want to search all the way back to 2003, you could bring that up to search from 2012, 2019, and it'll search for those more current. So you have more current information, and you can also search by grant amount. Grant amount is important if you feel like a lot of us do, that you do as much work for a $5,000 grant as you would do for a $25,000 grant. So maybe you don't want to go for those small grants. You want to focus on the grants that will provide a larger return and build those relationships there. That will help a lot. Okay, so we've got 2,700 grant makers. And that's just some of them. Let's go ahead and click on Silicon Valley Foundation. If you just hover, that was good. Let me go back to hovering. Oh, we'll stay here. If you hover, it gives you a lot of information right there about who they are. So at the very top, you see the title of the foundation, where they're located. This is their web address. Before you go any further and want to know more information about a group, always click on that link and get information see their website, because only 10% of funders have websites. So if they have one, it's always valuable to go in and see what they're doing. Who are they providing funds for? What is their biggest, the thing that they're most focused on? These are the people who are involved in LinkedIn. So there'd be a LinkedIn link there, the who's who, and contact information. That's all at the very top, which is real powerful. So this is the last 5 years. These are the grants. They funded 49,000 grants for over 12,000 organizations, totaling more than $6 million. You can see that most of their funds go to philanthropy, but they also provide a lot of things for education, which is maybe what we're looking for if we're looking for after school programs. And they have some that are unknown or not classified, which is kind of normal. And then you can go down and see that they provide things for community and economic growth and development, human rights, information and communications, human services, public affairs, and arts and culture. And you can see how much they give. Where they're giving is most often is into philanthropy, and that you see the largest grants are in that, and the next largest would be here in education. These are the states that are served by the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. So they serve here mostly, but they also serve in Florida, and they serve Oregon and Washington. And back east, you'll see that Texas is a large, they provide a lot of grants there also. They funded there. And how big are the grants? They give you an idea of what the actual individual grants they're giving are worth. And that's a lot of money. That's over $4 million. So scrolling down, this is where things get really interesting. You'll see on the right-hand screen, these are your go-tos on this page. So if you want to just go strictly to financials, you can click here and it'll drop you there. If you just scroll down the page, you'll get the same answers. So under grants, is the most common grant amount is about $10,000. And we already saw that Teach for America has received over $2 million in grants. But it gives you pages and pages of what the grants that they have funded. This tells you where their funding interests lie. And this is the subject of basic emergency aid in Christianity. That's some of their most important things. If you align with these, that's a really good collaboration for you. If you are not aligned with any of these, you can move on to the next one. There's always more funders. Their geographic focus is California mostly, United Kingdom, India, Israel. The population groups, you can see our academics, adolescents, adults, children, and youth are all in the top 5. These are their support strategies, capacity building, and technical assistance that's important to them, and continuing support. Those are all good things to know, because if they're into continuing support, you can possibly get a grant that would provide that funding to you. And they're big on that right there. The transaction types are mission-related investments and organization types of community foundation. These are related organizations. Now, this is helpful to you if you're interested in other foundations that might be providing the same kind of funding. You can look these up and see if they are a good match for you. And this is another way to find funds and have access to them that may be super valuable to you in the future. Then you can find out if they'll be good or not. And you would just click on them, it would take you to their page, and you could do research just like this and dive down deep and find out if they would work for you before you ever contact anyone. This is all about them. You can hide information. They tell you when they're created and their program areas. All of these, you can hide these as you go, so they're not so big. It gives you information here about what they're doing. Some of this is important, so let me focus here. Early childhood development, they like that. They are saying that they work to dismantle systemic barriers and give children and families access to care, education, and the resources they need. That's kind of what the library does too, so they're right in the line with us. And there's their grants grants to individual programs. Not everybody does that. Some of them don't do individual programming at all. They'll do a broader application. They have scholarships. And let's see what else. Okay, so I closed that one up. Back to financials. So that's application RFPs. These are also more funders to consider. That's interesting too. There's more funders there by going to another page. There's lots. This is encouraging. So it says on their applications and RFPs that applications are required. And final notification is there. This is a lot of people jump straight to giving limitations to find out if they can apply. This is if this doesn't follow with what you need, this might not be a good match for you. The grants are restricted to program services and efforts that benefits. So it's restricted to San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. So this is not necessarily going to be good for somebody who's in Antioch that wants this grant. That's not very helpful though. That's sad, since it was the first one we looked at. So moving on from there, this is more information about their financials and their 990 forms. They probably only have up to 2018 in 990s. It seems to be where everything stopped for a bit. They don't have to provide that information. And also foundation directory, people really are very good about providing their information on a regular basis, especially if they're one of the bigger foundations. They really, or endowments, they really provide this information on a continued basis. So mostly the information here is current. It's always, currency is really important when you're searching for a grant. Here's your who's who. These are all the people that have a LinkedIn profile. You can look through here and see if there's anybody you know that you might contact. We wouldn't necessarily advise you trying to become friends or a LinkedIn partner personally with like the vice president, but maybe there's somebody in donor services or donor engagement or a board member that you know, although they don't have any here that are marked, other ones do, ignore that. But you can actually contact them, become an ally and collaborate. That's the big thing here. This is encouraging collaboration among all the different groups. It's super important while searching. This is one of the reasons why it's important to have a personal LinkedIn page and then a LinkedIn page and a grant page for your group. It's important to have these things so people can find you. They have 133 staff members. Okay, this is information. Okay, so every grant maker who is on here doesn't necessarily have communications and things they publish. This is a very big grant maker, so they publish a lot of information. And this is where you would find that information that you might want to read, because the Philanthropic News Digest is it's really good for locating information that's current. This was posted just recently on July 2nd about who they're supporting and why. Click on that and you'll get to this. The Philanthropic News Digest is used widely here on the foundation directory, and it's actually probably pretty helpful. It also looks like they have podcasts, which is also something that not everybody has or that they support. This is their publications that they provide. And then you got down into the actual contact information. This is where you would find the information to apply if you were able to apply for this grant or a grant from this foundation. You would find that information here. It tells you more if you open up the drop-down menus. Then we're at the end, and we're going to go back to the top. Let's see where else we can go. Let's go back all the way up.
Teresa, we had a question. It was
sure
a few minutes ago, and you probably already answered it, but let's ask it anyway. Is it more beneficial to have as many subjects when searching, or is keeping it as simple as possible best?
I think keeping it as simple as possible first, and then if you're not getting the results you want, expanding out from there. Because it's better to start small and work outward rather than starting big and working inward. And this is kind of the way databases work just in general. It's much easier to start smaller and grow out, because as you see, you'll get more information as you go down through the database about possible other organizations that might be able to provide a grant for you. So the grant makers, you can find more grant makers by starting smaller, which impresses me, because if you're finding something for your specific your specific search, like education, after school programs, that's going to provide those other people that, like, this one is not going to work necessarily for us in East County, but there might be somebody on that list that will. And that's what we're looking for, is those grants that are going to be powerful for us. And that might be the best place to go, is into other funders to consider. So I think that by searching, starting small and expanding outward, this is a way to expand outward that would help you a lot. And you can just, let's see, you can actually just go here. Stanley and Joyce Black Family Foundation in Beverly Hills. Oh, here, San Francisco, Jeannie and Sanford Robertson Fund. Let's click on that and see if this is more. And look, this one does provide more education, and they are less spread out, and they still have a lot of grants to give. They provided 183 grants to 92 organizations worth over 19 million. So that's a place to look that's going to help, and they show you where they've given that money. That's an option too, about expanding out, starting smaller and then expanding out from there. That's one way to do it. Are there any other questions while we're here?
Yeah, there's one more question. Does the library continue to offer free access to the foundation directory, or are you able to access it virtually, or must you be on site at the library?
Okay, so this version, the professional version, is offered at 3 libraries in Contra, Costa County. It's offered at Walnut Creek, who have, actually, they have a little bit more advanced version that their Friends of the Library pays for. We're hoping to get the same thing. El Cerrito in West County, and us in East County, Brentwood in East County. We're the 3 libraries that you can walk into the library and access this. But from home, you can access something called the Essential version of Foundation Directory. There's instructions that are going to be provided to you, but the main thing is that you would access this from home. You would have to create an account and log in using that account, and that information is only good for 24 hours. Once the 24 hours is over, you can't access it again for 30 days. So that's important to know, that if you find a grant maker that you want, and we'll go look at that next, you can actually print those pages and do deeper dive research into their websites and things like that. Instead of going, you don't have to go all the way through Foundation Directory for everything. You'll be able to do deeper dives by printing those things out. Let me see if I can get there.
Isn't there a limit to the number of searches you can do also?
There is not. There's an amount of, there's no limit to how many searches you can do. There's an amount how many funders you can print. So you can print up 10. We don't recommend more than 10 at a time, because it is so overwhelming when you print one of these out. It's pages and pages of information. It's all great information, and you can dig deeper on it, but there's not a limitation as far as I know. I've never experienced a limitation on that. Okay, is that okay?
Thank
Any
you.
more questions?
Thank you. Proceed.
Okay, so let's look at grant maker profiles. I wanted to show you, let's see if I can find it in my notes real quick. Oh, how to email yourself. We're back to Silicon Valley. So you can email these records to yourself, and you can see right here, it goes to the next record. So the Bank of America is the next record. You can email these 5 or 10 records to yourself here. You would click on it, put your valid email address in, and it would send you a PDF of those grant makers pages here are on Foundation Directory. You can do up to 10 at a time. And like I said, they don't advise, Foundation doesn't advise going deeper than that, because they're just like, you would just have too much information to dig through. And I think that's one of the reasons they limited the Essential version to once a month, because even if you were in there every day, you might not be able to get, not be getting the search results you want. And you'll have more of a chance in that 24 hours to pare down your search results and get the best result for you. So you would just email those to yourself. And this is going to give you the top 5 records for that search we were looking for. So as you can see, we're going back to the Bank of America. And their money goes all over the place. But education is not their top, it's 3rd, but even then, look at the kind of money they give away. Over $52 million. And this shows you, just like the other one, how many grants they've provided. Over 62,000 grants at this time. to over 23,000 organizations. They give away a lot of money. It's all there for you, which I like. And again, they're pretty much the same. It shows that these are the people who are going for those big grants. That doesn't mean that you can't get one too. So it shows 2018. And again, you're going to see everything that was on the previous page for this funder. And you can just go through the records instead of going back to the main page. So we can go back to search results. So if I wanted to search just the Bay Area, and take that out and see what it changes. So make it even smaller. It's still, by just taking out San Francisco, it didn't make a big difference at all. Still the same amount of grant makers. It made no difference whatsoever in this search. And it can though. On one of the resources I'm sending you today is that's been provided by Foundation to me and to other of us that provide this service, is a listing of their resources that are accessible to you. One of them that's been super helpful to me. You'll have this to look at, but the one that's been most helpful to me is their YouTube page. Their YouTube page has in-depth trainings that are free, and they're of course maybe a year old, but they're still free to you and they're current. They're going to give you more information than you could possibly ever imagine. That's where I've gotten a lot of my information from, and it's just absolutely invaluable. So, you don't have to just come to us if you are not close to one of our libraries that provides the service and you want more training. That's the place to go and get that training. It's going to be super helpful to you. Let's see, we've been through all of that. We've been through all that training. Let's see if I missed anything here. There are more functions. Of course, the additional functions we talked about was expanding out your searches to advanced searches. We'll close the advanced search screen. But advanced search is where you want to go if you want to expand that search. You don't necessarily have to change it here on this page. You could do it in advanced search. And you could search, of course, by organization. That's pretty much all I have for today. But there are some other questions. There are some other questions too before you.
There was
Evaluating your funders. This is important. So when you get to the point where you know who you're to the point where you're looking at your grant funders, like you're looking at these 5. So there's questions you need to ask yourself at that time too. So the big one is, do I meet this funder's requirements? That you can go where we were looking and look directly to see on the limitations if you could, if it's a good match for you. Is my mission or projects a good priority for this funder? How big are their grants? You can see that on these pages too. Does this funder support organizations like mine? And do I know anybody associated with this funder? Those are all invaluable questions to ask yourself as you go through and look at these funders. And that's all in the training that they provide too, and the information I'm giving you today. So you have questions to ask yourself as you work along to see if it's going to work for you in the long run and provide that information. And you could just keep searching and searching, because there's a lot and there's a lot of money out there. And we want to be the people who are being able to use it for our most favorite things that we want to support and promote.
Thank you, Teresa. There was one more question. Is there also a limit when using the professional version at the library, or only at the home version?
There is not. So you could literally come in every day and hop on and use it every day in the library.
And
but if we're not close to you,
is there a time that you guys are going to stop, or has that always been available at the library and will continue?
This has always been available at the library. Foundation Directory has been available at 3 libraries since I started working. Yeah, we have a really good working relationship with Foundation, and I should say Candid now, because it's all under the same thing.
Right.
And they're very receptive and to us and asking questions. and they will actually answer your questions too if you pose them. And if you can't get an answer from them, you can come to us and we'll ask that question for you. If I don't have an answer or one of the other librarians doesn't, we can actually post those questions for you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Teresa, thank you so much. I know that this is a great service that the library offers, and I haven't been to the library to use it, but saw when we were scheduling you for the last session, saw the online access, and look forward to exploring this a little bit more. And if there are any other questions, we can ask those now. And if not, Teresa, if you would stop sharing your screen, we'll move
Stop
on.
share.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Thank
We'll
you.
move on
I'll hang out.
Oh, thank you. And yeah,
I'll hang out to the end.
if folks think of another question as we go forward, we can circle back to Teresa at that time. And then we're going to go on now to another invaluable resource, which is 211. And I know I'm going to learn something new today, because every time that I'm on a call with Tom, or I don't think I've been on with Blanca or on a Zoom, I learned something new about what 211 has to offer us. And so I will now turn it over to Tom and Blanca, and thank you in advance for your presentation.
Thank you very much. You're in good hands with Blanca. I'm going to have to just do a quick little few minutes here and then skedaddle to my next meeting. But thank you so much. I know many of you on the call today. So the Crisis Center, we're here in Walnut Creek. We've been here since, well, this is physical location for a while, but in business since 1963, actually, when the first crisis call was taken by a volunteer from our agency, from their garage at home. And so since that time, it's grown. I'm here going to focus on a couple sides of our house, and then Blanca's going to focus on the 211 resource database. So basically about half of what we do is our 24-hour crisis lines. And so as you can see there, right now, there's a couple ways to reach us. One is by calling 211. We've tried to make that simple, to just have the 1 3-digit number to get a hold of us. Folks can also call 800-833-2900 to reach our hotlines 24/7. These are all 24/7. 365 hotlines. And we have the 800 number because some folks, depending on if they're at work or something, there may be something with their phone systems that don't allow a 3-digit call out. So we have that 800 number as well. And so all of our call specialists are trained, and there's almost a 60-hour training that they take before they start having monitored calls in the call center. And they are cross-trained to do crisis intervention and suicide prevention work, as well as working with the hotline 211 resources that Blanca will tell you more about. We're part of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline Centers. There's about 170 centers that are scattered across the country. That's the number 800-273-TALK, or that you'll see. Recently, you may have heard the 988 numbers that are going out in our county in honor of Miles Hall. There's a 988 Miles Hall legislation that's been moving forward. And so between that and also I think it's in July of next year, all the telephone carriers are required to be able to utilize a 988 number for people to call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. But right now, actually, we've been practicing for several months now. And if you call 988, you're getting sent to our center already. So we answer those calls, all local calls that are generated within cell towers within our county. If you call that, either of those national lines, they come to us to answer. If we're unable to do it, they bounce to other centers that might be able to answer, because we don't want people on hold too long on those. Conversely, we also answer calls coming in from across the country for people that bounce to us. In addition to those calls, we also answer the after hours, weekends and holiday hotline for the Child and Adult Protective Services hotline. So oftentimes that's, we serve almost like an answering service and being able to send folks to the social worker of the day and that type of thing. But we're also there all the time to be able to provide that immediate crisis support and referrals for different services that those folks may need when they're calling. We also provide grief counseling at our center. So our team is also trained and ready to provide grief support. Part of our accreditation through the American Association for Suicidology that we provide a survivors of suicide loss group that we provide. We've been doing that for decades. And we also do several other grief support groups here on site when we are, when we're back to business, regular business. But those are for folks that have lost their spouses or significant other loved ones. And we also have one for folks that have lost their kids. So we've been running those for decades, and those are, for the most part, are provided by volunteers that are trained through our project. A couple ways besides 211 I had mentioned, the 800 number is also by texting HOPE to 20121, and that's a way that you can reach us as well. And a couple quick things I wanted to share with you that we've been working with our county's administrator's office with the eviction protection, some of the services, the SB 91 eviction protection advocacy and rental assistance and landlord supports. We're also involved in a Bay Area initiative with our partners in the eight Bay Area counties, and we are ready to launch within the next month or two a much larger eviction protection program for all the Bay Area. So we're proud to be part of that collaboration. Also statewide, we are in collaboration with our 211 partners, and probably in August, we're going to be launching a statewide for the AFN population, for those folks to be able to do some proactive and supportive work for people in the AFN community. So when PG&E and some of these other utilities know that they might be shutting down the electrical grid for safety, that our 211s across the state are going to be able to do some proactive outreach to folks to let them know that they should look for alternative means for powering up their vital equipments and things. So we do a lot of work locally, countywide, and we have the regional work statewide, and we also work with our national 211 and sister crisis agencies to do work. So I'm going to pass it to Blanca, who's going to walk you through the resource database piece of our work, and I know that she'll promote our twice monthly webinars right now, but also in-person training where you can learn more about how to utilize those services and actually even come in for a tour of our site if you have the time to do that. So I want to thank you guys so much for making time for us today. And I apologize that I need to run to the next one. So hope to see you. Please call us if you need anything. Thanks a lot.
Good. At least you don't have to find a parking place, Tom.
For once. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Just a brief introduction. I'm the database manager for the Contra Costa Crisis Center, and you may have received my emails. I send mass emails requesting folks to update your information, and I see some of you, some familiar faces who have been very responsive and have helped us in maintaining your agency information up to date. So if you have not replied to one of my emails, or if you have not received one, if you could please be so kind to check your inbox and reply. It's very important for us to have up-to-date information for your agency so that clients who are looking at your services either online or calling in to the crisis lines or 211 lines, so that they have up-to-date information about your agency and your services. So our 211 program came to Contra Costa County in 2005. We were authorized by the California Public Utility Commission to be the provider of 211. It was most likely a given because we already had a database in place. We already had a call center. We were already answering crisis lines. And right now our database consists of about 606, a little bit over 660 agencies and a little over 1,700 programs. And those numbers are constantly fluctuating and changing as I'm adding programs, I'm removing programs. Right now, a lot of things are reopening and in-person services are starting up again. So we're really on the hunt for updating program information. When the pandemic first hit us, a lot of resources had to close. due to the majority of the volunteers being the elderly population who were the most vulnerable. But then, resources and funding became available. And so there was programs that we were able to reactivate and update in the database and make it available to the community. So the online database is available for everyone to search at 211cc.org. And it's really important, I think, for agencies to go in and look at how your program information is displayed. So I'll be showing you that today shortly. The graphical guide, which is the online database, is available in 11 different languages, but we can add or remove languages according to the community needs. So if you have a client who needs a specific language, please let us know so that we can also accommodate that. And we, like Tom was mentioning, we work very closely with our public information officers, with Office of Emergency Services, with Contra Costa Health Services, to have information readily available in time of a community disaster. So we're part of the conversations with PG&E and the public safety power shutdowns. And throughout this past year and a half, we've been in constant communication during this pandemic. And so we'll definitely reach out to us if you need information, you need to connect to someone, have a question, and let your clients know that in time of a community disaster, if they can't reach you, because you probably don't want them to be just attached to you, especially in a disaster, in a time of a disaster, let them know that they can call the 211 line, and we most likely will have that information readily available, or we will definitely reach out to our PIOs, city officials, and make sure that we have that information for the community. So this is what the online database looks like. It looks slightly different because we added a few other categories, but we'll be going in there live in a little bit. I just wanted to cover, I see Claudia is asking to enter to be admitted. Do I admit? Teresa, would you be doing that? Okay, great. So I wasn't sure. So just wanted to cover this program. Not sure how many of you know about Help Me Grow. This is in partnership with First 5 Contra Costa. We 211, we are the centralized telephone access point to provide resources to parents or caregivers of children 0 to 5 or before they turn 6. And really it's to answer questions and provide support and resources, anything related to the child's development. So we have parents that call in or caregivers that have questions. They're not too sure if their child, if it's normal for the child to be sitting up, not sitting up yet, if the child should be crawling or not, how many words they're saying, any question or concern, truly they can call us and we can refer them to resources that can help them. A lot of calls from parents who heard about a friend getting services for their child, speech therapy or being assessed, but they're not too sure if their child needs it or not. And those type of questions. Truly, it could be anything, and we can connect them to resources either by text, over the phone, or they can search the online database. So we have a specialized online resource directory, which is here, the HMG, myresourcedirectory.com. And this is very similar to the online database that I'll be showing you today. The only difference is that this resource directory has been specifically curated and set for families that have children 0 to 5. So it's geared towards service providers that serve, the community, families that have younger children, but it's really for anyone. So it's really a great resource where it's already been customized for this population. And this directory comes with the mobile app. What did I do? Sorry about that. In the app, in the mobile app store, you can download it by searching HMG-CC, and folks can also download it in their smartphones and their tablets and have the database readily available in their device instead of having to search. But our website also changes according to the device that you're signing in on. So it customizes the website to the mobile device as well. And this is what the online database looks like for the Help Me Grow program. As you can, I think that the categories are a little bit small for you to see, but I can read to you what they are. And these categories are geared more towards families that have children 0 to 5. So parenting, education, delays and disabilities, developmental concerns, childcare, and then the commonly used ones like shelter, housing, food and clothing. So just want to point out that this database works just like the online database that I'll be showing you shortly. And then with this program, the Help Me Grow program, we also have a resource guide. And you may have seen these guides out in the community. At one point, we maintained about 11 different resource guides. Right now, we're only maintaining this one. And this one is basically, geared towards parents or caregivers, children 0 to 5. It's a subdivision of our database, only the most common referrals in our on our lines and in our database. And it's available in English and Spanish. Folks can download it for free from our website. It's updated every quarter. And you can find that. And this is just a screenshot of what the mobile app looks like. And it drills down all the way to the service provider, to the provider address, phone number, website, and even it has like the description, eligibility, everything that you would see in our in the online platform. So we're local, like Tom was saying. During the pandemic, we didn't have folks coming into our agency or touring our facility, but we welcome you to tour our center and put a face to the name and just meet some of our volunteers and staff members who are on the lines. It's really great once you meet the location and the folks that are there, then it really resonates. And when you're referring someone to the agency, you know where it is that you're referring them to. So we welcome you all. You can send us an email, reach out to Tom or myself, and you can schedule something so that we can show you around. I am hosting right now database trainings, and I'm going to stop sharing this now. And should I could do this, let's hope that I can figure this out. I'm going to now share the online database, and that's 211cc.org. So let's see. You guys see that? Yeah, okay, great. So we have a tab here. It says training, and you can click on that tab and get some more information about the 211 trainings that I'm holding every second Tuesday of the month from 1 to 2. If you'd like to schedule a training, I'll be showing you briefly today what you can do on the online database and how the listings show up, and very minimal, not so much into detail. But if you're interested in hosting one for your agency, for your staff, for your colleagues, or if you'd like to let them know that they can register for a training, please feel free to do so. Reach out to me by email, and I can always try to accommodate your schedule and provide a one hour training for free. So this is the online database. This is where you can change your font, make it larger, smaller, change the language to the different languages. My account is very important. It's not needed if you're just going to search for a program, but it is needed if you want to update your program information or your agency information. We just want to know who's submitting the updates and the changes. It's also needed if you want to customize and create your own resource groups. So this can be very helpful to some of you who work in a specific area of the county or with a specific population, and you want to create your own customized resource groups. So you would need to create your account. And then just some tabs here on how to search, and some categories here that we have. We have a landing page, another category for suicide prevention, and a COVID-19. This one will probably go away shortly. A lot of providers are now reopening fully to full capacity or in person. So we're considering that option to remove this category for now, crossing our fingers, hopeful that we continue to go in the same way that we have been for these last few weeks or month or so. But not to say, right, we're not completely out of it, right? So then we have also these other categories, and these are the most common categories and most common needs in our call center and in the community. I think you guys can all agree, shelter and housing, number one need, followed by food assistance. So when someone's searching, and anyone can really click on any one of these categories and then drill down further. So I'm just going to click on the food assistance one to show you very quickly. I'm not sure how much time I have left. I think about 5 minutes or so. Yeah. As you can see, it has 206 programs everywhere, Martinez, Pittsburgh, and we look at the services, food stamps, food pantry. So it's a variety of services all listed under the food assistance. But if you click on add a location, another option, you can click on keyword and you can be very specific if you like. You can do just, I want to see food pantry, and then you can even add a location. So let's say I want to see a food pantry in the area of Concord within 5-mile radius. If I scroll down and update my results, notice now it went down to 26 programs. So this can be very, I mean, you can see everything in Contra Costa County, and you can limit your search results as well. I think it also want to point out, I'm just going to open up one, for example. Let's open up this one through St. Vincent de Paul. These blue bars, these are the keywords that are attached to this program. If we want to look at specific details, we expand one detail. Let's take, for example, food pantry. I expand that. It tells me the hours, the required documents, eligibility, intake procedure, all of those details, very important to the community when we're referring someone to a service. If you want to submit an update, you can click here to report updated information. This is very important for service providers to take the time to review the information. So I signed into my account. I know I did it very quickly, but to submit an update, you can basically go into the program and start making updates. Truly, it's very simple. And I have some instructions on our website. I have some videos. I'm going to go back home and show you. I'm going to scroll down. We have some videos here. At a later time, you can play with them, or you can send me an email and give me a call, and I can always help you with the update and making sure. I can even send out a list of your programs so that you can review in an Excel spreadsheet and go from there, or we can do it together over the phone. And the only other thing that I wanted to show you is that there's a search bar too. You can search for your agency to see how it appears. So saw Caitlin Sly here. So I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, hopefully Caitlin's still on, or did she disconnect? So I'm just going to do Meals on Wheels and then click on search, Meals on Wheels, Diablo region. Because I typed in the name of the agency, it's populating towards the top, but it works just like Google. It has that in-string search mechanism where it's populating all of those words that you type in that search bar towards the top of the page. Now, I see Meals on Wheels here. I can click on that one. If I want to look at the other programs through Meals on Wheels, Diablo region, let's say I want to look at CC Cafe here. I can expand that by clicking on the program, and then you can click on that blue bar and look at all of that information. If I want to email this to someone, you have the option here to email this resource to a client. You just add their email address and then click send email. And that's super simple. We get a lot of clients who call us but don't have a paper and pen to take down the phone number. So we'll say, well, let me text it to you. You can click on phone there, select your phone carrier, put in your cell phone number, and it's usually super fast. I click send, and within a few minutes, you get that text message, or your client can get that text message. Encourage everyone to take the time, look at your program, look at your service, see how it's being displayed, and then contact us if you need to update your information, or if you want to add a new program, you are now offering a new service, please reach out to us. This is free promotion for you as agency providers, right? We're constantly promoting this service. It's free to the community to search. Clients can call our 211 line for free and receive support and connection to resources. So thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, I'm not sure if you added any in the chat.
We do have one question, and the County Cafe, Cassandra Miranda from Meals on Wheels. The
Mhm.
County Cafe has been rebranded. Who's in charge of changing the name to the new name? Do you know, Blanca, or we can connect offline with Cassandra?
Sure, yeah, we can definitely do that. For the county Meals on Wheels in West County, I believe. That may be the question. I have.
Cassandra says no. So
Oh,
how about if we
okay.
connect the two of
Sure.
you
Great.
offline? Yeah.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it. Sure.
okay.
I'm
And
always open to receiving an update, especially during a meeting. Let's go for it.
yeah. And
Right?
Cassandra, I'm putting
Yeah.
Blanca's email address into the chat again, and we'll get you connected on that. That's a great question. And I downloaded the app,
Okay, great.
which is very easy to do and very cool. Are there any, you want to take down your PowerPoint?
Yeah,
And so
sure.
we can see everybody.
Thank you.
And anyway, thank you for the great information. And as I said, I didn't know there was an app. Every time that I am anywhere with 211 or the crisis center folks, I am just blown away by all of the services and resources that you have there. And if everybody will note, Susanna Meyer is updating. Susanna, you want to just come on really quickly, or she's updated it in the chat about Senator Glazer's bill for nonprofit emergency, and there she is. And then we'll go to our debrief. So if everybody will just hold on for a second, Susanna, provide us an update on that. And
I'll do my best, but Teresa, I'm getting over a cold, so
it sounds like everybody, and
I know, right?
And we didn't have one for a year, so
I know.
or 17
I'm
months.
kind of I'm feeling a little bit wimpy right now, a little because I want it to be gone already, and I just got it a few days ago. I'm not used to this anymore. So the senator, as you probably a lot of you know, that we started at the beginning of COVID, started doing regular check-ins with nonprofits, and out of those check-ins came the need for a bill to address what happens to funding if in the event of an emergency, you have to change your focus, you have to redirect your staff to cover the lack of volunteers, you have to take away from one program and not meet those measurables in order to increase services in another. So he created a bill so that the funding would not be at risk in the event of disaster. And it's gone through all of its committees at this point. It's on the assembly floor for vote. It's looking really good for it to go through. The administration had a few questions about some of that. They want to make sure the accountability factors are still in line to make sure that there is no taking advantage of this situation. Obviously, nonprofits wouldn't do that. We know that. But anyway, the bill is looking really good. I included a link that's got the full text of the bill. You can all read it through that and reach out to me if you have any questions. My email address is in the chat as well. And I think this is a really good move. It's not, as we're exiting out of the pandemic and the emergency, it's not as critical right now at this moment. But if this ever happens again to us, we need something like this in place to make sure that your funding does not halt or there are no questions around your funding ongoing because you had to change everything in the midst of an emergency. So again, please feel free to reach out with any questions.
Great, thank you. And thank the senator for the work on that, because that is, and thank you for maintaining the nonprofit conversations throughout the pandemic. One of the things that all of us, I think, have appreciated and learned is all the collaboration that has taken place throughout the pandemic, and knowing that we are all in this together. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Teresa.
Thanks. So I'm going to try to share my slide again, and we're going to, and first of all, I did thank you, right, Blanca? Anyway, I'll thank Blanca and Tom again. So as I was saying, just so much information, and really appreciate all that you do. I'm going to share my screen, and we always have homework at the end of our our presentations, our nonprofit roundtable. And boy, this is one busy screen, but here we go. So the homework, you'll remember, we're going to host a mentorship event. And so be on the lookout for an invite to that. We'll pull the polling from last time and the information from this time and do that and get something set up. And then update your GuideStar profile at our first nonprofit roundtable. And it's also in the resources. Dawn will be gathering everything from today and then putting it in that resources section. And so from the March meeting, you find information about how to do that. You can reach out to us if you need some additional help. You can also check out a couple, I didn't see Kristen on today, but Village Community Resource Center's GuideStar profile is very up to date. And so if you wanted to look at that, you can look at that and get information about how to do that. You want to explore the foundation directory online. It's an invaluable resource. And thanks again to Teresa for providing information about that to us today. So remember, you can go online for a 24-hour period from the comfort of your own home. Again, no parking and no getting out on the freeway and commuting. Or you can go to Walnut Creek, El Cerrito, or Brentwood and search to your heart's content. And you want to make sure that GuideStar profile is up to date. So when you apply for those grants, the funders know where to find your information. And then continue to explore 211. And I didn't know there was an app. So download the app and you'll have all of those resources. Add this to your toolkit. So when you are providing information to your clients, you have that at your fingertips. And then continue to apply for grants and save the date. And I have a typo on the slide because today's date is here on this slide. And so it's October 7th. And we will send the corrected, I'll correct this. And when we send the PowerPoint presentation out, it's October 7th at the same time. And as we said, it'll be about communications and outreach, but also about evaluating your impact in the community. And I think we'll do a survey, but I noticed that and I noticed this in all meetings, that we tend to lose some people at 11 o'clock. So it's like we're all set for 1 hour and then we start losing people for other meetings. And so we're going to look at maybe doing it condensed to 1 hour. And then being able to potentially provide that networking opportunity after. We're going to not have the networking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all your beautiful faces. We're not going to do the networking after this meeting today because we know that Supervisor Burgis would love, to be a part of that as well. And we're going to let you all go. Everybody have a wonderful day and stay healthy. I think getting out, even wearing masks, we're getting colds and things. And so, but very blessed, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.